I'm Jacqueline Hollows, also known as MamaJ, and I started the Beyond Buddy scheme. And I thought that what we'd do this evening is just do a bit of orientation, tell you about the scheme, what it is, what it does, how you can get involved, and then take some questions. It's very informal. There are some people here who are Wendy and Alfie are old hands at the scheme, so they're here to help me answer questions and input from their side. And then Gary has been around for a long time, but he is new to the scheme really. So he's come to be trained as well, which is very cute. It might be nice if we just go around and say who we are, where we're from, and why you're here, just to make sure you're in the right Zoom room. So whoever wants to go first, or I can pick on someone.
Yeah, I'm happy to go first if that works.
Yeah, lovely.
My name is Yossi. Been around the principles for about 7 or 8 years, and came to first meet Jacqueline when I was on a program in London, and she took us into, I can't remember what the prison was called, but it was a really transformative experience, and sitting with the people in an environment which was almost surreal. I would never ever have that opportunity, and possibly never again in that way. And I learned a tremendous amount about human nature from there, and really appreciating every person for who they are, giving people a second chance. There's just so much I came out from them. The feeling of love was amazing. So when I was just at the Three Principles conference just now, and I heard it announced that Jacqueline was looking for people to join her program of writing to people in jail, I was like, yes, I really want to do this. If I can just be part of spreading the love, I'd be delighted to be involved. So thank you for having me on.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And you're in London?
I'm actually in Manchester. Yeah, I was in London then, but now we live in Manchester with my family, for 5 kids. And I work professionally as a transformative project manager. So helping charities and businesses move forward on their projects with leadership.
Amazing. And you've been a great help to me as well.
Oh, thank you.
Beyond recovery days. Lovely. Thank you. Who's next? Go on, Ladislav.
Gonna be me, I guess. Hi. Well, Ladislav, I'm in Denmark right now. I am Slovak. I have known principles for some time. Maybe I wasn't very active, but I attended one conference a long time ago in London, maybe 5-6 years ago. And now I was volunteering at the how do we call it?
The 3P UK conference.
Yeah. Okay. 3P UK conference. And I don't know, I just heard it in one of the lectures. I was like, sure, like let's try. This sounds like a, in a nice way said, fun idea. Let's do that.
Amazing. You live in Denmark?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Crystal, I know you want to go, I can tell.
You do? Okay, thank you. I'm from Estonia, and I heard about this program from Anastasia during a 3P conference in London this year. And I've been around principles, I guess, 4 years. Approximately 4 years, yeah, yes. And in my everyday life, I have a recruitment business, about 10 years now. So working with people is my thing, I guess. And I do also a little bit of 3P coaching also, so.
Nice to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. Heather, I know you from somewhere, but I can't quite put my finger on it.
Hi, Jacqueline. Yes, we have met, but I mean, it was quite a few years ago when you were doing the retreat things, somewhere over towards Derby. but you might remember me because the meeting, the retreat I came to, I had a car accident. I totaled the car on the way over. So
Yes, I do remember. Wow.
it's a dramatic entrance. So yeah, I can't even remember when that was. That's quite a few years.
It was pre-COVID. Yes.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
18, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. And well, I'm here. I heard about this from Alfie, and hi, Alfie. And yeah, I just thought I'd come and find out more about it. I've been around the principles for about, I don't know, 12 years. I've kind of more sort of moved into sort of non-dual in more recent years, but the prison buddy scheme sounds like such an amazing thing. I wanted to come and find out more, see if I could, see if it was a good fit. So, but it's nice to see you again, Jacqueline.
It's really nice to see you again, and a less dramatic entrance. Nice. Beautiful. Hi, Derrick. We are just introducing ourselves, where we're from, how long we've been around the principles, and what we're particularly interested in here. So you could go next, or we have Alfie and
I guess that lines me up nicely to go next then. Yeah,
Nice.
hi everyone. I know a few of you on here, most of you actually. I'm Derrick Mason. Yeah, why I'm here? Well, I'm from London. Right now I'm living up in Hertfordshire. And yeah, I've been around this understanding since 2017 when I was in prison, and people like Jacqueline, Gary, Susan, Lily, a whole host of people came in. And yeah, I've been blessed with this understanding since then. And yeah, why I'm here, I'm just here. I went into a prison to deliver a group with an organization the other day, nothing to do with the three principles, but I was delivering a three principles portion of it. And I bumped into my friend, to tell you the whole story, like, I went into the room and the guy's looking at me like he knows me, and I'm looking at him, but I looked away like, I definitely don't know him. So then they said, they've done the introduction, or they introduced me, and I said, right. Started telling my story about how I used to do thingy, and the guy nodded at me straight away, and he mouthed, "Yeah, I know who you are." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, I know who you are. You're Bujo." And I laughed, and I said, "All right, hold it down, hold it down, hold it down, like, don't man." But it turned out, so strange. It turned out that he was the son of my friend, who I used to do a lot of bandit stuff with, and he got himself in a road traffic incident where somebody died, and he's on remand for it. But he said, "Yeah, I know you. You know how I know you?" And I said, "How you know me?" He said, "Yeah, my dad sent in a video of you. My dad sent me a video of you in one of your meetings." He said it was a long meeting, but I watched all of it. There was other people. But he said to him, "Yeah, watch this. I used to hang around with this guy. But if you listen to him, then you'll hear something that you need to hear. Maybe it will help." And I haven't spoken to this guy for years, for like absolute years. But he saw my video and actually sent it to his son. And then I actually turn up in the prison where he's at. And
That's
I said, "Yeah," I
amazing.
took his details. And I said, "Yeah, I'll write to you. I'll do it." And then it occurred to me, maybe I could interact with him through the buddy scheme. So yeah,
That's
so I reached out to
amazing.
Jacqueline, and then yeah, here I am.
Here you are. That's amazing. I love that. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming. It's nice to see you.
Well, nice to meet you.
Hi, my name's Gary. I came across the principles back in 2016, and that was the year that I met Jacqueline. And so a lot of things happened that year that changed my life beyond all recognition incredibly. Saw Jacqueline speak at the conference. Already had started to have insights and see something around the principles and out. And it was having a massive impact on my life. Said that I'd love to come and help her in whatever way that I could in the work in prisons. And that set off a sequence of events that has just made my life so much better and incredible. I'm lucky enough to do some coaching these days and retreats. I'm just about to set up a business with my wife, who's a social worker, working with 16 and 17-year-old kids in care who run in supported accommodation. So, and that wouldn't have happened without my understanding. I'm so looking forward to that. I did some buddy stuff a long time ago when it first started, and something tells me to do it again. So yeah, here I am.
Amazing. Good to have you here. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Wendy. I've been around the principles for over 5 years now, and I've been helping out with Beyond Recovery and now the email prison system. I don't know, over 3 years, can't remember. Seems like a long time. It's a wonderful group to belong to. I'm a big fan of sharing the principles through the written word, as Jacqueline knows, and it's something I hope to expand on. I'd like to say something, and I've said it to people in person, and if you've heard this before, I apologize, but people asked me when I was at the conference last year, how can writing to someone change them? And I said it's, you know, if you've ever read a Bible, or if you've ever read one of Sid's books or an impactful book, and it changes you, and that's what we do when we write to people. We don't have to share the principles, but if you know of the principles, you will be sharing it without even trying. But we weave those in, and the changes are quite astounding. We change people, you know, and they tell us that we've changed them, their light bulb moments, you know, how their life has changed, and then they go on to share it with other people. So yeah, I'm a big fan of sharing the principles. I work in education in Torquay, and I'm a writer in my spare time, and do some other things for fun as well, acting and stuff. But yeah, big fan of what we do here.
Thank you so much, Wendy, thank you for your service, and thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you.
I'm Alfie, and I'm up in Scotland, and I think I met Jacqueline and the guys, Derrick and everyone. I think it was in that 3P conference, I think in 2020, when it all first went online. And it was shortly after that I kept hanging around them, joining in like any kind of groups that were going. And yeah, I think it was shortly after that, just started joining in what was a sort of pen pal system at that point, wasn't it? And kind of started writing. So I suppose that's probably about 5 years ago now, isn't it? Gosh, that's kind of scary, isn't it? But yeah, and you know, initially there's a bit of a feeling like, oh gosh, what am I going to write? A sort of background pressure to be writing something profound, and you know, so it takes a bit of time to just, you know, settle into the kind of way of how it's going to work for you. And really, what's amazed me is just starting to write a letter from just whatever's in front of me in that moment, and suddenly like seeing for myself embedded in whatever's in front of me, like, oh my goodness, here is the principles and everything, you know, without even saying anything. So I have got so much out of the letter writing for myself, and the letters that come back are just so deeply touching and just inspiring. And yeah, I just feel like it's such a rich experience being part of this.
Thank you so much. It's so good of you to be here as well. So we're going to talk about the scheme and what you do and all of those things, but you won't remember all of it. So the Bible is the pack that I sent you, the Beyond Buddy Scheme material. That's got everything in it. It's got example letters. It's got what to write when you're not sure what to write. And it's got 2 videos linked to it, listening videos. But we'll talk in details, but don't worry, you don't have to get everything now. What will probably happen is, as you start, you'll come up with questions. If you are still interested by the end of this, let us know. Gary, Derrick, and the two girls have already got buddies, but Heather's, Ladislav, Christelle, and Yossi, we have got actually 4 people who we could allocate to you. So if you do want to be involved, there are people. But I really wanted to start by saying you're not on your own. Everyone that's already involved, we've got 21 active buddies. So the people on the outside that are writing in, we call buddies, and the people on the inside writing out, we call residents. And we've got 21 of those who are active. So that gives you a feel for the size of the group. And there's always someone to answer a question. There's a WhatsApp group, and you can always email. And Wendy in particular is really helpful because she's really taken this seriously and loves to train people. Not that Alfie isn't, Alfie's less available, that's all. But there'll always be someone to help. Prior to 2020, we used to work in prisons, and we used to go in, we used to train people, myself and Gary and Derrick included, and we used to deliver the Insight to Wellbeing program, and it was amazing. Then 2020 happened and we couldn't really do that anymore. So we stopped officially this year, but I haven't been in a prison since 2022, I think. So prisons became very difficult to get into after COVID. In some prisons, people are still on 23-hour lockdown. So, you know, it's just horrendous. What we wanted to do is we wanted to find a way of still engaging with people and providing a little bit of hope and so on. So we initially started sending in activity packs, and I think we did that for about 18 months. And the activity packs would include things like, is everybody's free principles aware? I think I picked up that Sid Bank's quotes and word searches from a Sid Bank paragraph, and Mandela's and stuff like that. And then that actually evolved into what we now call the Beyond Buddy scheme. I write for the prison newspaper. I write once a month, but they don't always post them. So they post about once every other month, depending on the level, how packed the paper is. And I say to people, if you would like to be part of the scheme, then get in touch. And people write back. So they write to our office. We have an office address, which all residents can use, even after the scheme. We'll talk a little bit about after the scheme shortly. And they write to the office and they say what they got from the thing, and then they say, can I go on the scheme? How it works currently is those letters come to me. Anastasia, who's not here at the moment, she writes to all of those people on a system called Email a Prisoner. The system may not be available in Denmark and Estonia. However, we've figured out a workaround. So if you're in Denmark, or if you're outside the UK, we have figured out a workaround, and we want to involve you. So don't run away. So this Email a Prisoner system, it's a system that allows you to write an email in a sort of standard way. We'll show you how it's all set up. So you'll have your resident's name, and they all get a unique identifier. So you could have 2 Fred Joneses, and this unique identifier will tell you which Fred Jones it applies to. So they all have this unique identifier and their name and which prison they're in. And then you tell Email a Prisoner that, and you write to them like you would in a standard email. And then it charges, there's a 45p, I think it is, per page. And then that gets sent to the prison. Then the prison print it off and they put it under the cell door of the man or woman or person that you have written to. And when you write, you say, I'd like a reply, and you tick that box. That's a little bit extra, but then that means that the person can write on the back of that piece of paper, give it back to the officers, and then they scan it in and they email you. Okay, so far?
Yeah.
And when we set you up on Email a Prisoner, you will be using your own email address, but it gets hidden under like a standard, as you're a sub email of the standard one, and they will only get to see the standard one. So for instance, that was Jacqueline at Beyond Recovery. But they won't have your personal details. And when we set you up, we'll set you up as, say, Derrick Buddy, Heather Buddy, etc. Right? So that they have your first name, but they don't have your last name, and they don't have your email address. The reason why we do that is because it's not necessarily the person that you're writing to that may be a problem. It's just that anybody can see that. It's on a piece of paper that's in a man's cell or woman's cell, and anyone can see it. Officers can see it, other residents can see it. So from a security point of view, we just try and keep a little bit of anonymity there. There are guides as to what to share and what not to share and so on, which is all in the booklet. So read through the booklet. But generally speaking, we want you to be open and loving and compassionate. And you would be amazed at how a little story about how you left your washing out in the rain and a fox came and stole it off the line or something, or how you bumped your car in the car park because you weren't really thinking that morning. Little stories about your life go a long way. You think, oh, they're not going to want to know that. They're in serious circumstances. They're in prison. They love it because it's someone being real and normal and just talking about their life, and they're hungry for that. Conversation in prison is generally about fighting drugs or food, as far as I know. So when they can get other conversation, the people love it. They're hungry for it. And I've been told just knowing that someone is out there and cares enough to write is enough. It doesn't even matter if they don't understand what you've written. So I'm going to let Wendy take over. I'm just going to do the last bit of the overview. So we'll talk about more in detail about that. But because you're linked to the Email a Prisoner system, when there is a new email, it'll ping through to you to say there's a new email to check. But it doesn't harm if you haven't heard from someone to check it. The cadence is up to you. So how often you write, how much you write, and that sort of thing is up to you. I would say in the first instance, keep it to like once a week or once a fortnight. If you really get, into a good conversation, you want to write every day, you can, but don't let your buddy down, because if you're going to start writing to them every day and then suddenly you don't write for a month, they don't know what's happened. So just be open with them. If suddenly you get busy in your life and you can't write for a while, let them know and let us know. And all of it is okay. But just always remember that the other person that you're communicating with is behind a cell. They're behind these doors. They can't get out. They can't read stuff. They don't get much joy from the officers when they ask questions. So we try to be as consistent as possible. So even if you can only write once a month and you let them know, that's absolutely fine. No problem at all. Some people will write back on the piece of paper and send it. Some people are more suspicious of that system and they don't want to write it on there, so they will write you a handwritten letter and they will send it to the office. I'll collect it from the office and I'll scan it in and send it to you. And that's the letter writing. And then there's what we call the distance learning part of it. So the curriculum that we used to teach in prison, we distilled at the time. Derrick and Omar and everybody, we just all got together and distilled it into a pack, 3 packs of materials. So we send a pack in and we send one to you, and you read it, your resident reads it, and then you can communicate about that pack. They send it back, and then they get the second one, they send it back, they get the third one, then they get a certificate. That's how it goes when it goes smoothly, but sometimes they don't write back, or all sorts of different things can happen. So we'll go into that. Anyway, I'll pause for now and see what I've missed or what Wendy would like to contribute.
So that's the login page. So you would put your email address in, make up a password, and then I'll get rid of that. So what you're seeing now is I have an inbox. If I click on that, choose my recipient from the drop-down box. Let's just close that again. I don't want to reveal them really. Choose my recipient. Move down the letter and start typing away. So I just start typing away here. Yeah. Whatever I want to write to them. I don't know if you can see this. This is the free you, free me. I don't know if this has changed, but this is one of the packs they get. It's got a wonderful Derrick on it. I don't know if you can see any of that, but it's an A4 pack that you can work through with the prisoner. So you can read through it. Some of them will write a lot in it in the boxes. Some of them might just put don't know, don't know, don't know, and don't put much at all. So you can work from this with what they're saying and speak to that. When I've had one and they haven't put much in it at all, and I'm thinking it's really hard to pick something up here, I just go by what they've written to me in their first reply back. So we've done our initial letter introducing ourselves in a nice warm way, and then in their first letter back, there's always something you can pick up on and write back to, and it's using the principles and picking out what they're writing. And if you know, you don't have to force it. That we don't have to force the principles on them. It's just sharing about our day in a nice warm way, and they really, really do appreciate that. What else have we
check for questions? Have you got questions or thoughts right now? How's it feeling?
I've got a question. So you see when they're doing the pack, or they think they've completed pack 1, say, and they send it back, do I get a copy of that pack so then I can then talk to them once I've looked at the pack properly and sort of gauge how to come at them from, sort of thing?
Spot on. Great question, thank you. So they fill out pack 1 and they all get a stamped addressed envelope so that they can send it back in case they can't do that on their own. They send it to the office, then I'll collect that and I scan it in as a PDF and I can email that to you. So you will then, and that is the idea, you will then look at what they filled in and you might pick something up in that. You might see somebody's filled in one of the exercises and said they think something about themselves, and then at the end you see that they've changed their mind, or you might pick up an insight. But yes, exactly that. So there's the emailing each other part, but there's also that you can hang off. So you can, if you notice, you can notice insights and talk to them about that. So you had an insight about something, or you might notice that they see something differently to how you see it, and you might get curious about that, or notice you mentioned this, and when I filled out the pack, because everybody gets a pack as well to fill out, and then you can go from your own experience. When I filled out that part, I read it like this. That's interesting that you said that. And it's just all about that engagement. And as Derrick really is pointing to there, encouraging their wisdom. So wherever you notice wisdom, or you notice insight, or you notice that they've done something that's really sort of unusual for them, that helps them, pointing that out and giving them that external validation that they're on the right track. It's also meant to be hopeful, encouraging. Yeah.
When I read a letter, so when I first used to do it, I'd spend an hour on a letter, but it's normally about half an hour now. But I do, like you said, Jacqueline, I'll pick out the little bits of wisdom, the positivity in the letter. You know, oh, it's great you're seeing that. And then there may be some negative bits. So my prisoners have talked about anger, being very, very angry, wanting to act violently, or being very anxious, or having thoughts that are in their heads 24/7, never stop. So, you know, I will talk to that. Often I will talk about myself, you know, when I get really angry. So I'm not being personal to them. I find that's a softer approach for me. You know, I got really, you know, and you know, I just knew that I just needed to press the pause button. So I'll often use myself as an example.
Yeah, and if you're comfortable teaching the principles, and you already teach the principles and you know how to do that, and it's not a problem, then go ahead. But if you're unsure when you're writing, well, how do you don't have to shoehorn the principles in. You just write. I mean, I'm sure Alfie, you just write with your guy, don't you? And Alfie gets all sorts of letters back, the bits that I see, and you just write in a not in a falsely positive, but in an encouraging way, so that they can feel basically loved. So they can feel loved, so they can feel listened to, so that they can feel that there's hope, and that someone understands what's going on for them. I know that, you know, some people get afraid when they're moving prisons, for instance, and we don't say, oh, don't be afraid, it's just your thought. You know, we talk about, oh, well, that's a perfectly natural thing when you have change. And then we might talk about a change that happened to us, that we experienced, and that we experienced fear, and then we moved on. So it's really to let them know it's okay to feel all the feels. Go on, Derrick.
Yeah, I was just going to say that the way I asked it, and then the way you answered it, sort of showed that it's not, or the way you sort of ended, I wanted to make that point as well, that it's not two different things. Like when you get the pack, you start talking about the pack and going into the pack and therapy and free principles. And no, it's just seeing, I love what you said, that you just see what you've noticed in it. And then you just bring it up in the same letter form, where you're just a conversation. And it's not, I won't respond to the pack now, but then afterwards I start just writing letters. It's all the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
If you can see it like that.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, absolutely. It's a jumping off point sometimes. The pack can be just something that helps you get into a conversation because you're finding common ground.
Yeah, I think what you said it before, that's what brought it to me, when you said it's something you can just hang off.
Yeah. Do you have any other follow-up questions, Derrick, from that? Gary?
What came to me when I started to write again the other day was that I remembered it was no different from what you said to me when we first talked about me going into prison, and I've never forgotten you said, first and foremost, all you got to do is love the guys, and that's what came into my head again when I was writing the letter. Although I've connected with this guy, it hasn't written back to me, but from that, as soon as I fell into that feeling, then it was easy. Any sort of getting up in my head, oh, what am I going to write? What am I going to say? He hadn't said a lot in his letter. That just all fell away. And then it became, it just flowed then. It flowed so easily. It was crazy.
That's really cool point, because you actually never know what you're going to say that will impact somebody. So we could write all fancy dancy stuff about this and that, and then just mention something about your cat, and that could be the thing that actually resonates, and that they hear something. So yeah, writing from that feeling, not worrying too much what you're writing about, and just writing from that feeling of one human being to another, sharing and our shared humanity, will take you a long way. Any follow-up from that, Gary? Anything else?
It's having a conversation, isn't it? You're just having a nice, relaxed conversation. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Alfie.
Yeah, also what I realized over time is that sometimes I've had a letter where the resident's just gone, I just really wanted to tell someone this thing that happened today, this bit of good news, or having them express the relief of having the space to talk to somebody that's not, it's sort of like an open space of no judgment. We're not seeing them through a label of being somebody, or just whatever their past feeling might be. And it's just the kind of loving, unconditional space to just have, which builds up over time, I guess, of safety for people to just know that space of no judgment. And yeah, it's like that. It's it's even if nothing's kind of much said, that just that the connection is making that safe space, which there might not be an outlet for a resident to express anything anywhere else.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say, Jacqueline, that there are SID banks or free principles books available, aren't there? If anybody wants one, it's not easy to get them accepted into the prisons, but
so you will have a lot of questions around stuff like this, because it's the fairest thing to say is it's a nightmare getting anything in to a prison. And in the main, I think most 90%, maybe more, people get the letters from the email a prisoner system. They don't always get what we send in by post. There's lots of reasons for that. The security stuff goes missing. I sent in a box of books once to somebody, and the security destroyed it because they thought there was drugs on it. There's all sorts of things that go on, and we don't have access to a point of contact within the system. So don't get frustrated if you say if you want something sent in and it doesn't get there. But we do have a library of Sid Banks's books and a few other authors. And so if somebody wants to read something and you want to send something in, we can do that. So just let us know, and then I'll do that. So at the moment, sort of I'm the conduit, because I'm just making sure everything gets to anywhere, but anybody could send something to somebody if you wanted to. Just double check with us. We try to keep it as pure as possible, like with mostly SIDS materials and my book, of course. And but they can actually get my book from the prison library, so that they're aware of that, but I think Wendy sent in Mavis Khan's book to people, so there's approved books, but I mean, it's not that they can't have the other books, but while they're learning, we try to not. We found it when we were there live in person that was the most best conduit to transformation is share as pure as possible. And even, you know, my book it's not about the principles, but it would be an echo of what something you could read from Sid or from something like that. So we can do that.
Jacqueline, I'm really sorry, but something's come up and I have to jump off. Can I leave you at this and
Yes.
pick up we'll pick up my email and all that. I mean, I can tell you now I've read the pack and I'm happy to go ahead, so I'm happy to have
Amazing. We'll match you up.
Wonderful.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much, Jacqueline. Thanks.
We've
Nice
got-
to meet you all.
thank you.
Well.
We got one sale.
I was going to say the other thing that comes to my mind, EMAP, some of us give donations towards it sometimes, don't we? Don't know if you want to
I'm glad
talk
you
about
raised
that.
that. Yes. I'm just making a note of Yossi. Is a yes. So this scheme is fully voluntary and self-funded. So we ask for contributions. It costs at the moment, it's not costing very much. We've got a few boxes of old packs that we're still using from Beyond Recovery days. Those will have to be replaced as they run out, but we've got quite a few pack ones. There's good 50, if not more, maybe 100. There's the cost of the stamps and the, you know, the delivery, sending it off, email a prisoner costs, and I need to buy some new envelopes. So the existing buddies have been contributing to the scheme. At the moment, we've just said, I just say we're running out of money. Can you help? Those who can help do, and those who can't don't. So you don't have to feel under pressure to help financially, but if you do feel that you could, then please do, and you can pay it into the bank account, and that just means we can keep things going. We may have to at some point say there's some sort of monthly contribution of £5 or something like that. If everybody contributed, it would probably cover it, but at the moment we're just asking for it on a as and when basis. And I keep a spreadsheet of all the costs and who's contributed, and you can access that at any point and see that at any point. You've probably fried your heads, been here for
Something else come to my mind, if I can say so. If you take on a buddy and you've got your first letter, if you're unsure about what you've written, you can send it to me, and it'll also go to Jacqueline if you just want us to read through it. The few people that have done that, they've always written perfect letters. But if you're unsure, you know, have I written this correctly? And you know, but usually people are absolutely fine. And the WhatsApp group is great. If you ever got a question, you think, oh, what about this? What about that? You know, my prisoner's moved prison. What do I do? It often isn't just me or Jacqueline answering, because everybody else says, oh, you know, really great advice that they'll offer up.
I have a question, just something that's just come up of what you just said, Wendy. So then when I send an email, it goes direct to the prisoner, and only if I send it to you, do you guys get to see it? So it's straight to the prisoner, basically.
It goes straight to the prisoner, through that system. So I could, as the sort of head user, look at that, but I don't.
Yeah.
I generally don't. But what Wendy's saying there is, if you wanted to check it before you sent it, you could. But yeah, no, it doesn't get held up at our end at all. There are a few hold ups, so getting the post and so on, but we've really narrowed that down now. But the email itself goes straight through.
Yeah, I get a reply sometimes within 2 days. Yeah. When my writing on this, I make time on a Sunday, and that's when I will reply to my prisoners, and mine usually write weekly. 2 of them certainly do. Yeah, I certainly wouldn't leave it longer than 2 weeks. Oh, the other important thing, don't be offended if you never hear back from the prisoner, because some of them don't. What I've done there, so I've had 2 written to them first time, and they haven't replied, and I'll leave it a couple of weeks. I will then write again. And then I'll usually write a third time. And in the third letter, I'll say, look, you know, if it's difficult for you to write back, because some of them do have literacy problems, just let me know with a couple of words. And if you'd like me to continue writing, I don't need a reply, just, you know, 2 words and I'll continue writing. But for some of them, they may have decided they don't want to go ahead, and that's absolutely fine.
Sorry, can I ask another question?
No, it's all, of course, as many as you want.
What's the prompt, or as you would say, the call to action for them to actually reach out and say, I want a buddy?
That's when I write the newspaper. When I write for the newspaper, at the bottom of every one, it says, if you'd like to be part of the distance learning program, reach out. And they usually handwrite to the office. I put the office address on there. At that point, they handwrite. Then Anastasia writes to them on email, a prisoner, and says thank you. And she writes some beautiful letter and says, would you like a buddy? And at that point, if they write back, that's when we match them up. So we see then they've had 2 chances to engage. So the people who don't write back to Anastasia, I've jumped the system with you because you'd already met your guy. So normally I wouldn't have sent that first pack. I would normally have waited for him to reply on email, a prisoner, paired you up, and then sent a pack. Because you met him, I thought we'd just get it off as quickly as possible.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's what I'm saying. Like the drop off is less than because you've already had 2 minor engagements.
Exactly.
And then they're more willing to think. But then again, like I said, on the other side, to the resident side, that could be in a good space for that time. And then when the letter comes or when the pack comes, it's a little bit not what they thought or whatever, then you might get a drop off there. But that's the most we can do at that end, I think. At our end,
we have the biggest drop off from the letters that I get, and then Anastasia writing. That's where we have the big drop off, because they at least half don't respond to Anastasia, and the ones that do, they get matched up. So we've got more of a chance of them, you know, connecting. Yeah, thanks. But actually recently we went through, and if we were to get more buddies, we went through and just refreshed with some of those and said, you're still on our database, would you like to be included? And some of those came back and said yes please. So that was good.
Some of the prisoners who, you know, we've written to as well, who've, you know, for a while and they've been impacted, share it with other prisoners, and then those other prisoners say, how can I find out about this? So it's also doesn't happen so often, but it's that does occur. It occurred with one of mine, a couple of mine actually. They're sharing with others, they're sharing the principles. They're not calling it the principles, but they're sharing with people, and then in prison, and then they're asking, how can I find out more? How can I get a buddy? So
that's right. But we will get round it like that for now, and there might be a better way in future.
But how it is if they will do the handwriting? How it is it like, I don't know, is it like readable or is it like understandable?
Not always.
I can answer that. So I have 2, I can read them. Now I have a secretarial background and I can read doctors' handwriting on prescriptions, the old-fashioned one. But I have one, he has the tiniest writing. He has problems with his vision, and it's very hard to read. So what I'll do in a sentence, if I can work out a third of it, I work out I've got something to talk to. Yeah. But I did have to ask him to write bigger because it's so, and also some of it's just illegible. But yeah, I manage. So yeah, he just has very poor handwriting, but I can read some of it.
There's an interesting thing that when you get quiet and you're not trying, you can get a gist.
Yeah,
so
that's what I do.
Some of the writing is terrible, really terrible, because you know they don't always have formal education. So with English being your second language as well, I can see. But honestly, I reckon eventually you'll just go, yeah, I sort of know the direction this is going. You get a feel you know, you pick a few words, just don't try and read everything, basically. That's what I do anyway.
That's fine. I'm not perfect. They are not perfect. So
That's right. That's right.
Right.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Are we going to tip you over, Heather and Ladislav? You know, you've got no pressure.
Yeah.
I feel ready, I think. I do have one question about the pack, because you mentioned that it's distance learning. And I wondered, Derrick was saying about using that as a jumping off point for conversation and whatnot, but is there any form, are they expecting any formal sort of training as a result of receiving that pack? I mean, for them, what's the distance learning aspect of it, I
Yeah,
suppose?
so they read you did you get a pack? Did I send it to you?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So they read through, they answer that, and then basically you tell me if you think that they've passed the course, and then they get a certificate. So
Right.
that's it really. But you'd be surprised how little goes a long way. When Derrick and I were redesigning the packs a few years ago, we thought like let's really redesign them and so on. When Derrick saw what was written in a few of them, he's like, we don't need to touch this. People are getting insights just by going through it themselves. So that, to me, it's enough that they've read it, that they've answered the questions, and that you see some progression, and we always see some progression.
Great.
And that can take time. It can take months.
Yeah.
You know, you can take months, and then one of them will say, "Oh, I've had a light bulb moment, and I've seen it." So yeah, it takes as long as it takes. Weeks, months, years, and some of them will never show that they've been impacted. But it does happen. In the future, years ahead, they see something, and that certainly happens with people, prisoners, and people outside of prison. That they suddenly recollect something and think, I remember that, and it's really, and they hear something years later.
Yeah.
Do you know what I see as well with that question as well, is that the distance learning part is just, for me, we just back up that what they're seeing is actually true. Because the difference in what they were seeing or what they were writing once they've been through a pack, and then they liaise with us or Ladislav, and we just confirm that, yeah, everything you're seeing is true. And just believing it a bit on the way I've believed in it. And you connect on that level, and that's the learning part. I'm not just in myself going cuckoo because I'm just reading something and I'm stretching and making something up. No, this person's actually telling me that this is real. Because like you said, the way those packs came back just blew me away. And that's what we say, yeah, that is real.
Yeah.
And when you learn and understand that, nothing can stop you.